Hey everybody, this is my NieR Automata costume from 2018. So if you can't tell by the wind in the background, it's springtime and that means spring cleaning. For a cosplayer, just like myself, who's been doing stuff for over 10 years now, every couple years I have to get rid of things. Only have so much space, and I make a lot of big costumes and they take up a lot of space. Unfortunately, this might be our guy that has to go. And I figured before I let him go, I'll do a quick little build breakdown and a little test fit, show you what he looks like. I never really showed off this guy too much, so this is going to be a nice little farewell for the costume. So like I said, this was made in 2018. This was made right after I made my Jim Raynor costume. There was a convention in Pittsburgh about a month after the convention that we took the Raynor to, and my wife wanted to dress up as 2B from NieR Automata. And I was like, okay, that's cool. We'll go and whatever, have fun. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, well, I want to dress up too. So in less than a month, I think it was like 3 weeks, I put this guy together. We will go into how he was made here in a little bit, but that's basically the backstory. It was a very rushed build, and I'm still surprised at how well it actually turned out. Being in 2018, this was still kind of my early days of crafting. Not so early that I didn't know what I was doing, but in terms of having the right supplies and tools. So at this point, I was still using Harbor Freight foam, and I was mostly just outsourcing all of my tools and whatnot at local hardware stores. So this is a lot of Harbor Freight foam, PVC piping, insulation foam, and a bunch of random contraptions that you would find at Harbor Freight, which I will get into with the arms. But without rambling for too long, let's dive into this whole project. Okay, obviously some pieces are broken. This is a shorter piece, but before I glue it, I wanted to kind of show what the understructure looked like. So you can kind of see, this is when I was still using Harbor Freight foam. And I just used the end pieces for the extra lining on the inside of this. Mostly the way I did this and why I did this, to maintain the shape, I made sure that the inside piece was shorter, and it kind of would hold tension on that whole thing here and would help it maintain that shape. One of the main reasons for that, though, is obviously because you have two separate pieces of foam right here, and that would also kind of help hold everything together in there. Was a bad idea to just have a single piece of foam hold it, but I also wanted it to have some articulation and flop, and that one single piece of foam really helped with that. I don't feel like using some contact cement right now, so I'm just going to use some hot glue with this brand new Harbor Freight hot glue gun, which you don't need to see. Now the arms are the most fun part, so I will show them off first to explain how they work. So this is actually the left arm. This bolts onto the body, the elbow swivels, and the wrist rotates. And then my hand is inside here. If my hand is inside here, I can then, well, I should be able to rotate a little bit. Looks like something came loose on this one though. I don't know if I can, yeah. Well, might be able to get some movement out of it. It is pretty old. Maybe the other arm will be better. Originally, I wanted the fingers to be articulated. The inside of the hand is just a handle, as you can see. The idea was to have some kind of articulation with the fingers, move them, but due to time constraints, that was not happening. So instead, we just got a handle to move the hands a little bit. But it looks like the handle had come loose, but it should have had about this much articulation. Now, for how these joints are connected, it is basically just PVC piping on the inside. If you can see, there is another piece of PVC pipe, and if I can angle it just right, you can see there's basically tubing inside. So two sizes of tubing running through each other. One is being hard held with a lot of glue. We can get the light there. Yeah. And that allows it to hold stiff on one and rotate on the other, giving us this articulation. Now, if we can actually see on the inside here, which we might not be able to, I'm gonna get the camera to adjust its lighting maybe. It's not gonna focus, but on the inside, you have the same concept, but this time there's a plate. What that plate is basically just a ceiling light. It's a ceiling light fixture. And as far as details go, the chain on the wrist here, you can see that. Just Halloween chains. Actually, with this one, yeah. But at the very least, okay, so while the handles have gotten loose over the years, it does give me something to hang on to on my hands inside. That will allow the marionette style articulation. Another thing I wanted to show off as well was the arm mounts as well. What this actually is, if you can see, I basically ripped apart a plastic receptacle container, you know, for like your outlets and stuff. Cut part of it out. This one that I saw in Lowe's, I don't remember exactly what it was for, but it has 2 holes in the sides and 1 hole here. When I realized that it was the same size as the plastic pipe, that became a perfect way for me to work this. So now the mount will pivot on the bar here, and then there's another mount on the shoulder that then goes here and then bolts on here. And that will allow it full articulation, both forward and outward. And this is that shoulder piece. Basically what I do, put the hole over here and then put this on here. The plastic from that casing then sandwiches between the edge of this and the edge of this. I only go hand tight because it doesn't need to be any more than that. The leg pieces are probably the most worn out of all of them. As you can see here, there was some repair done to the boots. That's because originally I had made these up with wooden blocks, and that made walking around absolutely terrible. I swapped them out for foam blocks, and they are insanely light now. It's a shame though that I never got a chance to wear it anywhere else ever again. But as you can see, I never painted the pieces that I had replaced. Did I mention it's windy out? Again, we have our Halloween chains for the mounts on the actual legs and arms. Same with here. And the knees and ankles are a similar construction for movement. For the knees, it's the same as the elbow, just 2 sizes of PVC pipe. One is hard mounted to the outside, while the other is free flowing on the inside. Should be hardwired on both the outsides, and then a smaller piece in between. And then this piece here just more or less free flows on that. As you can see on the inside of the leg, if you can make out, we can get the camera to actually focus the inside of that mechanism. For mounting purposes, this strap here then wraps around my leg and the back, which I'll show during the mounting process. With these legs in particular, I can't fit my legs into them for obvious reasons because of the mechanisms with the knees and whatnot. So the way this whole costume works is like a marionette. My feet will go in the shoes, and then this straps back behind my legs. So my leg will be right up against here and go straight down to this. So my legs will actually be behind the mechanical legs. And then last but not least, just like the knees and all the other articulation, same rules apply with the toes. They are a little stiff, but gravity does its job. It's hard to tell underneath, but I do have a piece of foam that prevents it from going down beyond a flat position. That way they don't get caught underneath the shoe. Again, this here is just a piece of PVC pipe. This is a very Harbor Freight Home Depot build. And now for the body itself. Obviously, in the game, this entire chest piece is solid, but I was running into an issue with visibility. How was I going to see out of this? So the idea was just battle damage. I would rip up the chest just a little bit. I probably didn't have to go this far. I could have toned it down some, but then that would give me room to see. On top of that, it would allow fresh air to come in as well. I'll tilt this in a second to show the inside, but it is hollow the whole way through. And if you can kind of see right here, there is an old battery pack. And then that would then run these fans. These fans run exhaust out, so I would have fresh air coming in the front, and all the hot air that builds at the top would then exit out the eyes. They also glow red, like normal computer fans, and considering that these guys have glowing yellow or glowing orange eyes, that pretty much helped with that effect. You would no longer see the fans because they'd be spinning, so it would just look like some cool glowing orange eyes. Now let's tilt this guy back and show the inside. The inside is actually very plain. It's hollowed out. You have insulation styrofoam that made up the entire shape of the inside. So the way I constructed this body is I built the styrofoam base first, adding the extra supports to go around to make sure everything was the right diameter and all that stuff. And then from there, I built the support structure inside for me, the mounting hardware. It was basically PVC pipe again, with some basic strapping to sit over my shoulders. That would then rest my head out at the eyesight for the opening in the chest. There's a little toggle switch right here. This would turn on the fans in the head for the exhaust. Overall, a very simple construction. It's also how I got the shape for all of this. If you can see far enough back into the head, you can see the head is basically reinforced with the same styrofoam. I built everything first with that shape, and then I built the foam over top. To do that, I basically used a duct tape template over top of the existing structure. And of course, because I had the opening in the chest, I then had to add some extra battle damage so that the damage would seem at least somewhat consistent. So I also opened up a chunk around the eye, which you can see in some of the gameplay and concept art. So I kind of mimicked the retaining bits for the eyes, which also act as a mount for the fan on this side. Also gave more room for the air to flow out as well. Same with some of the damage here and here. As for the back, it's very plain. Nothing really there. Now, obvious, this thing's been through a bunch of damage from moving a bunch and having cats. So we have a bunch of damage here, claw marks, cat marks, that probably from the cats. Lots of cat marks. They love, this is the only costume that they love to beat up, which has me kind of scared whether or not I should get rid of this, because they might turn another costume into a scratching post. As you can see, more cat marks here. But above all else, Kiana is the one that likes to use this thing as a jungle gym. She loves to climb in and out through the armholes, so you have claw marks all through here from her. Lots of cat marks. Just claws from her getting up and then going in. I don't know what she'd do inside. I think she just sat. It was her little hidey hole. She likes to hide in stuff. with that all said, let's take this thing out into the driveway and see if it still fits. Well, surprisingly, it looks a lot better than I was expecting. I mean, 8-year-old costume still looks pretty good, to be honest. Kind of makes getting rid of it all the more sad. Makes me almost want to try and do something with it one last time before we give it our final goodbye. Plus the cats also love jumping inside that thing too. It would need some repairs, but I do feel like it does need to go. There's so little space in the basement, and to make new stuff, old stuff has to go. Yeah. So unfortunately, it is going to get taken apart. I will try and salvage some stuff from it, like maybe the shoes, the foam blocks, probably some of the straps and Velcro. Always use that stuff. So it will live on, I guess, in another costume, but I don't know. I am proud of it. So it is sad to see it go. But if you did like this and want to see me do some more breakdowns of very old costumes that I never had a chance to make a video for, say what you want to see in the comments, or whatever, and I'll answer what I can and all that fun stuff. I do want to bring out the Raynor at least one more time, so I might do the same thing here with that. Not throw it out yet, but do a nice build breakdown, show how it was made. Could even do the same thing with the Terminator Chaplain as well. That thing is big, and I dread bringing it upstairs because it is huge. It's one of the main reasons I don't wear my big costumes as often as I used to. They are just so big, and it is just it's just cumbersome to just take everything up and down. Also, it seems like the wind finally calmed down. Oh well. Nope, it did not calm down. Anyway, I will see you all in the next one.